Hello chess enthusiasts, my name is Miha and welcome to my Chess Realm YouTube channel. Today I am going to show you a rapid game from Magnus Carlsen Tour Finals. After they were tied 3-3 in sets, they played the 7th decisive set and this was the first game. Nakamura had white pieces and he started with e4, e5, knight to f3, knight to c6, bishop to b5, knight to f6. And again we have Berlin defense of Ruy Lopez, apparently very popular in this event because this particular variation was played 12 times between the two players. So white plays d3, bishop to c5, bishop takes on c6, black recaptures. Of course white cannot take the pawn on e5 because then queen goes to d4 and white either loses knight or gets checkmated. So in the game white played knight from b to d2, black castles kingside, and we have the same position as for example in the 5th game of the 3rd set. Only this time white plays h3 and black continues with knight to d7, knight to c4, a5, pawn on e5 is still untouchable. White plays bishop to e3 defending the pawn on f2, and now black defends his e-pawn with f6. White castles kingside and now b5. Black is preparing the exchange of bishops and wants to force double pawns along the e-file, so he is attacking the knight on c4 who can recapture on e3. White removes the knight to d2, bishop captures on e3, pawn recaptures and now a4, further extending the pawn chain on the queen side. And white plays knight to h5, c5 and knight to f5, deploying the knight into black's king vicinity. Well, black could drive the knight away with g6, but he doesn't want to weaken the pawns on the king side, so black plays knight to b6, queen to e2, bishop to e6. Of course it's bad to take the knight on f5 with bishop because white recaptures and significantly improves his pawn structure. So white plays knight to f3, queen to d7 and knight from f3 to h5. Deploying the pieces to kingside in order to start an attack is actually in vain. Black king is more or less safe and black plays rook from a to d8, rook from f to d1. White is neutralizing the pressure along the d-file. Black prepares g5 attacking the knight on h5, but if he plays immediately g5 then knight to h6 check, and after king to h8 then knight from h4 to f5. Well, this indeed is not the best continuation for black. So first black plays king to h8 and now d4. White strikes the center. So c takes on d4, e takes on d4, e takes on d4 and rook takes on d4. Black removes the queen to c6 and white doubles the rooks along the d-file, double attacking the rook on d8, and black has to do something. He can remove the rook or even trade on d4, but after white recaptures, knight forks the queen and the bishop, and after the exchange of material, black's slight initiative simply vanishes. So black has decided to play queen to c5, pinning the rook on d4. You have to keep in mind that pawn on a2 is still under attack, but white could have simply played b4. Black cannot remove the queen because rook on d8 is still double attacked, and after en passant, white recaptures on b3 and has a solid position. In the game, white was apparently afraid of the pin, so white unpins the rook, queen to f2 was played, rook captures on d4, knight recaptures, bishop captures on a2, b3, trying to block the bishop. Black plays rook to d8, further attacking the knight on d4, knight to f5 defending, a takes on b3, c takes on b3, and bishop takes on b3. Black is 2 pawns up, but still not winning. White could have played rook to b1, extraying the b-file and probably gaining 1 pawn back. So it's hard to tell what would happen then and whether black would be able to convert this slight advantage. But in the game, however, white plays knight to d7, which turned out to be a fatal mistake. Well, yes, if black takes the knight, then knight to f5, discover attack on the queen, but after queen to f5, rook to d1, king to h2, black has a rook, 2 pieces and 2 passed pawns against a queen. Although black king is open, prone to checks, I think this is probably a winning position for black. In the game, black rook captures on d4, white rook recaptures, and now king captures on g7. For a rook, black has 2 pieces and a pawn, so white is more or less lost and the rest is a pure technique. Of course, discover attack on the queen doesn't work because black captures with knight defending the queen. Instead, white tried with checks, queen to g3. King cannot go to f7 because white takes the bishop with check. So king to f8, queen to e3, threatening with discover attack on the queen. So knight to d7, king to h1, king to e8, queen to d2, bishop to e6, defending the knight on d7, and now e5, trying to open some lines but in vain. Queen takes on e5, rook to h4, knight to f8, queen to b4, king to f7 and rook to e4. Instead of removing, white counterattacks white queen with c5, queen to b1, queen to d5, rook to f4, b4, queen to a1, knight to d7, protecting the f6 pawn. Queen goes to b1, king to g7, queen to e1, b3, queen to g3, queen to g5. Black king is safe and white cannot stop the exchange of material. Moreover, black passed pawns are unstoppable, and therefore in this position Hikaru Nakamura resigned the game and Magnus Carlsen took the lead 1-0 in the 7th set. So I hope you like this game, I hope you have learned something from it. Of course, I invite you to visit my Instagram page. That's it for now and see you soon.